What's poppin' peeps? This is ATC, that's Adam Talks Cars. This is going to be episode 9, lucky number 9, of my show Muffler Delete, where I'm going to give you my raw, honest, unfiltered, boisterous, rambunctious opinions on topics in the auto industry that I'm particularly passionate about, or particular cars and why I like them. And in today's episode, I'm going to be discussing what I consider to be the top 5 best looking cars that I have ever seen in person with my own eyes. Okay? I'm not going to talk about old multi-million dollar classics like the Ferrari GT250 that are unanimously regarded as incredibly beautiful. You're not going to find that on this list. And you're also not going to find supercars that I've seen once in my life at the New York Auto Show. Like, I've seen the Bugatti Chiron and the Koenigsegg Agera from 100 feet away behind rope. You're not going to find those on this list. You're going to find cars that I've seen on the street multiple times that I consider special in their shape and beauty. Okay? And it's not going to be in any particular order. I thought about putting it in an order, but got messy. It's very difficult because I find all 5 of these cars to be really special and particularly attractive, honestly, in one way or another. Not in a sus way, but just in a way that an object can be attractive, like a sculpture. And the first car, speaking of sculptures, is the Ferrari 458, which I really find to be the most beautifully rounded and curved car that's really ever been made. You'll find a theme that I don't like overstyled cars with all these extra vents and big wings and stuff like that. Not my speed. And I think that the Ferrari 488 and then the F8 Tributo following that, which are the 2 newer mid-engine Ferraris after the 458, both kind of lost a little bit of the simplicity of the 458, which I think a lot of its beauty is in its simplicity. I could see myself going into a museum and seeing a 458 in 50 years from now. It doesn't have these harsh, aggressive lines like you'll see in a Lambo. It's not about that. It's about beauty, really. Like, I think the 458 is spectacular. It has this simple, beautiful essence. And I know I keep using the word beautiful. It's probably repetitive, but that's the best word I got to describe what I am thinking and experiencing whenever I see the Ferrari 458. If I had to name one downside, it would be I don't love the triple exhaust in the back, like the triple center exhaust. I much prefer the dual exhaust that you'll see in the 458 Speciale, and also I believe in the 488, just the dual exhaust, like on separate sides. But both the 458 Speciale and the 488 have a bunch of extra vents and air intakes that I just can't get over. So that's why I really believe that the 458 is the best looking Ferrari, at least of the modern era. Next on my list is going to be the Cayman GT4. And that might come as a surprise because you would think it would have to be the 911 GT3 RS or GT2 RS, but I just find both of those cars to be a little bit noisy. Not noisy in terms of their exhaust, noisy in terms of their appearance. They have too much going on. Again, my same issue with like the F8 Tributo. Too many vents, too many hood scoops or hood vents, at a point, it's just not necessary. I love the mesh grille that's on all of the Porsche GT cars, the Cayman GT4 and the GT3 and GT2. But I like the subtleness of the wing of the Cayman GT4 a little bit more. I think the GT3 RS and GT2 RS, the wing is just too much, too big, unnecessary visually. Not unnecessary in terms of performance. It's obviously beneficial for the performance, But this isn't a video about performance. This is a video about what I find the most appealing to look at. And if I had to give another reason why I prefer the Cayman GT4 in appearance, is I think it's because it's mid-engined, whereas the 911 is rear-engined. The Cayman GT4 has a much smaller backside. There's much less overhang when you get past the rear wheels, obviously, because in the 911 the engine is past where the rear axle is. And so the Cayman GT4's roofline kind of slopes down a little bit sooner, and it's got less of an ass on it. Which in this case I think is a good thing. I think the 911 is a little too bubbly in the back. I mean, that's really nitpicking, but when I'm making a list of top 5 cars in terms of how they look, which like the best 5 looking cars I've ever seen, that's why I haven't thrown the 911 on the list, and why I have put the Cayman GT4 firmly on the list. I feel very confident in that choice over any other Porsche that I've seen. The only sedan on my list is going to be the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, and I think the reason why I find this sedan probably the best looking out of any other option out there in the world is it's just a little bit smaller than its competitors, like the BMW M3 and the AMG C63S. It's a couple inches shorter, which gives it more of a coupe look to it, I guess you could say. Which, when you're looking at a performance car, traditionally the coupe is just going to look better than if it has 4 doors. You're able to, I don't know. I feel like that kind of goes without saying that coupes are more attractive, if you will, than sedans. But the Giulia kind of has a coupe roofline without actually being a coupe because it's a little bit smaller. I really like the staggered quad exhaust in the back is a unique exhaust. You don't see that a lot. The only other car that I can remember off the top of my head with exhaust like that is the Lexus ISF from a good while back. It's not super old, but definitely at least a few years back, the Lexus ISF. Again, you'll notice that the Giulia Quadrifoglio is not overstyled. You know, they added the carbon fiber bits here and there. You got the subtle vents on the hood for cooling. It's just a little lip spoiler on the back, diffuser on the bottom, and a little lip on the front. That's just a few small additions, but it's enough to take the Giulia from a very good looking sports sedan into one of the best looking cars, I think, on the planet that I've ever seen. Because they didn't overdo it. Too many times when a company takes the regular version and makes a performance version of that car, they overdo it. They add too much. And Alfa Romeo, I think, did a really unbelievable job adding just enough to show, hey, this car means serious, serious business without it having to scream it into your face. You know? And the last 2 cars on my list, I'm going to mention them together, are going to be the BMW E46 M3 and the BMW F87 M2. I kind of see the F87 M2 as a spiritual successor of sorts to the E46 M3. They're super similar in length and weight. The M2 is 20 years newer. It has better performance. Kind of obvious, but they both have that really stout, wide, aggressive stance to them. And again, they're not overstyled. Right? I look at E46 M3 today, and it really looks ageless to me. And I have a feeling that with the F87 M2, 20 years from now, I'm going to look at that and feel the same way about it. You know, they're aggressive. They're obviously what they are to people who know cars, but they're not shouting it in your face like a Civic Type R. Right? Anyone who, even if you know nothing about cars, you look at the Civic Type R and you go, holy cow, what the heck is that thing? It's so crazy looking. And I don't like that. I'm not a huge fan. I like when cars give you subtle hints to their performance without announcing it to the whole world. And the M2 and E46 M3 do that exceptionally well. They both have brilliant rear haunches, which I think is one of the most important features in any sports car in terms of how I think it looks. The rear haunches are really, when they're widened out like that, it's a big plus. Big plus. So, that was my top 5. Remember, I did not put any cars on this list that I haven't seen multiple times in person. So, odds are, if there's a car that is unanimously regarded as spectacular, and it wasn't on this list, just assume that I probably haven't seen it. Or if I did see it, I saw it once at an auto show. So, I didn't want to include those, because then it would just be a list of some of the most expensive, beautiful hypercars on the planet. And anyone could put together a list like that. But this was just my opinion. Let me know what you think. This was episode 9 of Muffler Delete. I hope you enjoyed. And I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.